Detroit Den 313. We're back. Stephen Will talking at Detroit Lions football. Before we get started, you know what to do. Bang that subscribe button and do not forget the bell icon so you don't miss any of our new content. Steve, what we talking?
Man, we got to get one of my guys out there, Will. We got to get Cooper Dejean. We got to give him a little love. We got to talk about him. He had a pro day yesterday. I'm sure there was some Lions personnel in attendance. I don't exactly know for sure who. I don't know if Brad Holmes was there, but I'm sure someone from the Detroit Lions was represented there. We've kind of teeter-tottered on his name a little bit. We've never fully 100% dove in. I've seen a lot of people whenever we're talking defensive backs in our comments talking, hey, Cooper Dejean, Cooper Dejean, Cooper Dejean. Here we are. We're talking it. Will, how do you feel about Cooper Dejean, the pride of Iowa?
Jack Campbell's the pride of Iowa. But Cooper Dejean, man, I think he's one of those people to where you like him or you hate him. You think that he's going to be a prospect that's going to be able to do some great things in the NFL, or you think he's overrated. I venture into the thought process of I think that he is going to be a good football player, not a good cornerback, just a good football player. That's what I see when I see Cooper Dejean. He is a guy that is instantly going to be able to help out on special teams. And with the new kickoff rule, it definitely would be icing on the cake. He's a guy that fits into the mold of what we talk about with Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, positionless football, a guy that may be playing nickel corner, that may be playing outside corner, that may be playing safety. I see him moving to safety in this NFL and some nickel corner, playing in the box a little bit. I didn't see him play press man. I didn't see him play press anything at Iowa. I don't know if that was because he couldn't. That's my suspicion. But I don't know if it's because he couldn't or if that's just not what their scheme asked for. But that's a worry for me is when people talk about him at the top end of this draft. I think at the beginning of this draft process, people were talking about him as the best cornerback in this draft process. I never saw him as that, but I do see him as a great football player. So, Steve, how do you feel about Cooper?
I'm with you. I see him as a great defensive back. I don't know if he'll fit as a corner. And yeah, I think a lot of people in the beginning had him as like a top 15 pick, like it was locked in, like he's going to go somewhere in the top 15, no doubt about it. There's some other people who are rising up some draft boards very, very fast. I think we could both agree, it doesn't matter what order, that Nate Wiggins and Kenyon Mitchell are the top two corners in this draft. Would you agree with that? No Rankins?
I would.
So the real argument is, who's the leader of that tier two? Is it Cooper Dejean? Is it Terrion Arnold? Is it Kool-Aid McKinstry? I think his name's in the mix. I think Cooper Dejean is very versatile. I look at him and I see he's very, very, very athletic. Just at his pro day the other day, you told me he ran a 4.4. That is really, really fast. Doesn't mean you can cover. Because look at who you're going to be matched up against in the NFL. Justin Jefferson, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, possibly Roma Dunze, possibly Marvin Harrison. We don't know. That's just in our division. We've got some receivers in our division. Christian Watson. We got to cover up with those guys. I don't know that he's considered a great cover corner. I don't think he's sticking to many people, even with that 4.4 speed. But I think he can close very fast, and that's why I think he would be a phenomenal safety. And if he doesn't work out with the Lions, maybe he can go play basketball with the Detroit Pistons because he has some phenomenal basketball tape as well.
Yeah, he's an athlete, man. He's an athlete. Yeah, he's even in the lower end of the 4.4. He ran 4.43, so you're knocking on that 4.3 door. 16 reps on the bench press, 6'4" on the broad jump, 38-inch vertical, coming off of that foot injury, man. So that's what excites me. He ran 4.43. He was rehabbing. It's not like he was just didn't miss a beat end of the season, started preparing for the combine, and then rolled into running his 40s and everything. No, he's been rehabbing. He's been fighting to get back healthy, and he ran. So he might be a 4.3 guy when he's fully healthy and everything is clicking on all cylinders. The tape doesn't lie. He can play football. Guy's got elite ball skills. He looks like a receiver when he's going up and catching the football. Special teams, he's electric, man. Returning those kicks, it's fun to watch. I think he's a guy that would instantly be exciting. He'd be an exciting pick. People would be excited to see him out there. They would be looking forward to seeing him return kicks early. And then I think he would be a guy that people would, when he got a snap or two back there in the secondary, wherever, people would be waiting to see, what was going on. I know that's how I thought about Brian Branch. Brian Branch being a reserve at the beginning of the season. And just even when he got out there, it was like, okay, Brian Branch is up there. Let me see what he's about to do. So I think he'll bring that type of excitement too. I love the ability to play that positionless football. If someone goes down at safety, he can step in and play that. Somebody goes down at corner, he can step in. Nickel, he can step in. I think that versatility instantly makes him a guy that has to be on Brad's radar. If you're a team just looking for an outside corner, I don't know that he's the guy for you. Not because he can't do it. I just think that where he's going to get selected in this draft in the first round or the top of the second, I think that you have to be looking for somebody who offers that versatility. If you're just looking for somebody outside, there's better options out there. So Cooper is a guy I think does fit the Detroit Lions. I think he does. Everything that we say, versatility, grit guy, his frame, 6 foot, 203, almost 205 pounds. That's a guy that's going to be able to play that relentless, tough, gritty, hard-nosed football, blue collar. So Cooper's a guy I like, man. I like his game. If we drafted him at 29, would I be overjoyed? No, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be like, oh, out of my mind. But I'd be like, okay, solid pick. Let's go. I can see what they're doing here. So I don't hate it. I don't absolutely love it, but I can see the fit. You think it's a fit for us?
I think it's a fit. And real quick, I just want to clarify all those receivers I listed off, those are number one guys on their team. I don't see Cooper as a number one cornerback. I think he could be very well as a number two. I think he would really thrive there in most positions, unless we're going up against a team who just has, like the Cincinnati Bengals, who are just loaded at wide receiver. Like, yeah, obviously there's going to be some struggles, but I think he would be a fit. I personally, when I watch him, it reminds me of someone else in our division. He reminds me a little bit, and I'm not saying this because they're both white, but he reminds me of Harrison Smith a little bit, the safety for the Minnesota Vikings. Just the way Harrison Smith closes on receivers, breaks on the football. I think he would really, really be like a Harrison Smith type clone down the road. And that, again, that's a safety. I think that's where he's going to fit. I think that's where he's going to thrive. He's got great instincts, but I just kind of wonder about that coverage. I don't think he's locking up many number ones. I think he'll be okay against most number twos. But as a safety, I think he's going to be really, really, really like borderline Pro Bowl good. That's how good I think he is. I think he's athletic enough. And yeah, people are saying, oh, well, he's athletic. I mean, why do you think he can't cover? Just don't see it. I just personally don't see it. I think he'd be okay against more receivers his size, but if we're getting into like the 6'5" or whatever, Mike Evans, like obviously that's a tough matchup for anyone, but I think that's where he's going to struggle a little bit.
Carlton Davis will be taking care of that. He won't have to worry about that. But I'm going to ask you a tough question, man. So put your seatbelt on. At pick 29, the Detroit Lions select Cooper Dejean. Who's the odd man out in our secondary?
I was just going to ask you something similar, not exactly worded like that, but
beat you to it. Snooze, you lose.
I did snooze and I did lose. I don't want to say it, but I'm probably going to get nailed. It's probably Iffy Melifonwu. Only because are you
out of your mind?
Only because I knew you were going to say that with anyone. It didn't matter. I could have said,
"Are you nuts?"
Jesus, our Lord and Savior. You would have said the same thing. Only because Iffy, I think what he did at the second half of the season was phenomenal. Absolutely, like he was sacking the quarterback, getting turnovers. He was everywhere in coverage. Just a small sample size for me. If that continues into next year and he has 17 games at the same level, lights out. Cooper Dejean's probably not even going to be sniffing the field very, very much. But I think that's just the only answer. And it's tough because the Detroit Lions are pretty set at safety. So that's why it's a tough decision. Like, who's he taking over for? It's not Brian Branch, obviously. It's not Kirby Joseph. What's the other option? It's Iffy Melifonwu, right?
Yeah. And I'll say something similar so you don't get nailed by yourself.
There's a cross right next to me with your name on it.
When I look at our back half, I think of, well, we are set, man. We are set. I think Tracy Walker is a good football player, and we ran him out of town. Right. So we do have some great pieces back there, but there's nothing after those guys. There's nothing. So I think a depth piece would be huge, but if you draft a guy at pick 29, you're not drafting him just to be a depth piece. You're drafting him to get on the football field.
You
And I
want some
think,
meaningful reps out of him at 29.
yeah, so I think that it could be it could be that we move Ife Melifonwu to playing in the box a little bit more, man. And there are times where we got 5 defensive backs out there and we got one in the box. There's times where we slid our corners into the box. Cam Sutton was playing in the box in snaps, man. So I think that you could see maybe, and this is a complete just unfortunately you got a Pro Bowler in the draft type situation. But the same thing as Tracy Walker, I think that you could potentially see Kirby Joseph get ran out of town. And this is why.
Really? The ball
This,
hawk
this
leading
is
the
why.
team in interception? Wait, are you nuts?
Yeah. And this is why, because I think he can offer that same ball hawk ability. I think instead of oftentimes, if you go back and watch the tape, guys, tell me if I'm wrong. Kirby Joseph is picking people off and throwing his hands up in the air when he could just be running for touchdowns. It's just like those little things. But is Kirby Joseph a great football player? He is. But I think Cooper Dejean picks those balls off and he might take them to the crib. He turns into that kick returner, that punt returner when he gets the ball in his hands. Crazy as it may sound, because Kirby Joseph used to be a wide receiver. Cooper Dejean may be a better ball hawk than Kirby Joseph. And guys, before you hammer me, I think that they're both phenomenal at hawking the ball back there at center field. But here's the thing: instead of nipping at ankles, instead of flipping people over by going low, and I'm not saying this dirty. I love the way Kirby Joseph does this thing. I'm not hating on him at all. Keep doing your thing, man. We got to get these guys down. How we got to get them down. But I think you might see Cooper Dejean hitting people across their chest and taking those guys down, man. I think you might see a different level of grit when he comes up and tackle. I think you might see some more position versatility because he's a guy, you're not going to put Kirby Joseph in the box ever. That's not happening. That's just not what he does. No knock on him. But Cooper Dejean is going to offer some more versatility. He'd be another guy similar to Brian Branch. You can play him on the back half. You can come up and play him in nickel in a jam situation. You can put him in the outside. I just think he offers more versatility than Kirby Joseph. Ife Melifonwu offers something that neither one of those guys offer, so you can't have him the odd man out. So for me, by not much, I think it could be Kirby Joseph turns into a depth piece, and then ultimately he's not going to be cool with it. He's going to go somewhere and try to be a starter.
People, get your pens out. I'm about to give you Will Ford Sr.'s address. we're going to roll up there. I might have to wear one of CJ Gardner-Johnson's blue ski masks so you don't know who I am.
You didn't get rid of those yet?
I actually never had one. Here's the thing about Cooper, and this might be because Iowa's offense was absolute dog poo.
Yeah.
He played a lot of offense for him too. He played a little bit of receiver. They were kind of starting to burn him out a little bit, and it's not a knock on him. I'm just saying, like, this kid plays football. Yeah, he can play receiver. Player. You can get him the ball on offense. He's got elite speed. He's an elite athlete. They kind of had to shut that down because they were like, all right, we know we're not going to score a lot of points. Even with Cooper Dejean, we know we're not going to put up a lot of points. Our offense is what it is. It's very vanilla. It's trash. Let's just be honest. Let's put him on defense and let our defense just try to get some turnovers. And that's kind of what Iowa's offense was defense. It was trying to get turnovers, get, quick 3-and-outs, play the field position game. Their punter was one of the best punters in college football. Like, their defense was their offense. That's how bad they were. And I kind of really liked watching him play offense because he was fun to watch with his ball in his hands. But when they switched him over to defense, you could just see the versatility. You could just see what he was capable of. He knows what to look for with that little bit of experience on offense. Like, that's why I think he'd be a phenomenal safety for us. Mm-hmm. But again, we're pretty set at safety. If you're drafting him at 29, you don't want to sit him on the bench for a year, 2 years. You want that pick in the first round to get on the field, play meaningful snaps. And I think Cooper would, but I feel like his role that first year would be kind of shifting quite a bit, and it might slow his progress a little bit with us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, It's a pick that's fun to think about. Um, I don't think that it's the route that we go at pick 29, if I'm being honest. But if we did, like I said, I wouldn't be overjoyed, but I'd be like,
I could see
we
the
just
rationale if he's the pick at 29. I wouldn't
yeah,
love it either, but I could sit back and say,
we just got a hell
okay,
of a football
yeah,
player.
this makes sense like a year or two for now, and he's still going to be on the field. So yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm not going to be like doing cartwheels, but I'll be able to say, okay, the Lions 1 or 2 years from now, this is probably going to be a kid who's going to be our starting safety for 10 years after that.
Yeah, or he offers the versatility for you to have options. Depending on what's draft available, do I pay Kirby Joseph when it comes contract time? Because if he's asking for something crazy, I'm gonna have to make a decision. Do I pay him or do I move this second year guy into a spot, let him go? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it offers those abilities to make those decisions. So if you're playing the long game, best player available, playing the long game, making sure that we're good for years and years and years and years and years, it would make sense to me. But for 2024 season, it wouldn't move me
Yeah.
crazily.
It wouldn't be like a really great pick until probably like year 2026. Then, oh, yeah, shit. I remember when we took Cooper Dejean. Now look at him out there. He's starting safety for us 17 games a year and out there making plays. I can see that happening for sure. So, guys, you've left his name in the comments quite a bit. I've seen this kid's name probably mentioned in our comments when we talk defensive backs more than absolutely anyone. Took us a little while to get to him. We kind of waited because he didn't really work out at the combine. He had his pro day yesterday or a couple days ago. So now we have a little bit more information, a little bit more to dissect. So we kind of had him in our back pocket. We see the comments. We see what you're talking about. Leave some more. If you're new here, stick around, hit that like button, subscribe. We'll be back later with some more content.
Peace.